What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning. So come by and say hello. All right, I want to talk about DEC and where we are currently sitting at in terms of like the overall outlook between now and the end of the airdrop, which is roughly 47 days away. We're going to get 47 more airdrops. Now, here's the thing. The big question is, how and when should you be exiting out of your DEC position if you plan to? Because I think the general sentiment, and again, we could all be wrong here, so none of this is financial advice, but the general sentiment is that once the airdrop is over, or maybe even before, that we will go below the intended peg as there is an oversupply and the demand will no longer be there as the utility for DEC as an airdrop point will be gone. So I'm looking at this, and before I even jump into this video, this is not to tell you to do anything. I try my best not to do that on this channel. This is just to give you the tools, or at least the what I'm looking at, I guess, and how I'm trying to make that decision on when my exit strategy for DEC would be and what I'm kind of factoring into play here. So when we look at this, the first thing I think that's most important is to take a look at where DEC was when it did dip below its peg, because we got down to 0.00085 roughly, you can see here. And so that means we dropped 15% below the intended peg before the end of the airdrop. I mean, this was back in May. There were still 2 full months of the airdrop left. And no, I'm sorry, 3 full months of the airdrop left. And we actually, I'm sorry, no, 2 full months of the airdrop left. I guess 2.5, because this is May 11th. So 2.5 full months of the airdrop left. And we dropped below the intended peg, which makes me, again, confident in the general sentiment going around that DEC will probably go below its peg and that the intended backing using packs for 4,000 DEC is going to come in very handy and create some arbitrage opportunities. Well, the question then becomes, if you're not planning to buy packs and you're sitting on a ton of DEC, what will you potentially do in terms of making sure you preserve as much capital while maximizing your gains? Well, this is what I'm looking at, and I'll share it with you. And again, like I said, I think everybody will need to be watching this on their own and kind of decide when to get out based on their own risk tolerances. So if we look at this and we see that, okay, DEC dropped to 15% below its peg, 0.00085. At that point in time, even when there was still a significant amount of time left for the airdrop, my assumption, right? I'm not saying that this is right, but my assumption would be that we can easily go back down to that level, maybe even further below it. But if we've touched it before, then I don't have any doubts in my mind, again, just for me, that we would get back down there again, meaning that we would go 15% below the peg. Now, what I want to do here is take a look at this and say, I want to actually assume that, let's say DEC is at its peg right now. It's a little bit above, but the example that I always like to give is $100, 100 USD. So if you were to put $100, or if you had $100 worth of DEC right now, that would get you, 100,000 tokens. All right. So essentially what that equals out to is 100,000 airdrop points. Well, based on all of the current values here, what you can see is that you're going to get roughly 6.6 SPS per day. And over the course of 47 days, you end with 310 SPS, which at the current prices at 7.7 cents is $24. So when I'm looking at this and saying, okay, if I expect DEC to fall 15% below its peg, right? And that is where the risk may be, then what I can do is look at this and say, okay, my $100 could potentially become 85 if I wanted to cash out. But at this point in time, I'm still slated to make $24 off of that based on the current prices of SPS. Keep in mind, all of this is subject to change because SPS could drop as well. SPS could also go up. So, you never really know. We are just looking at things in snapshots, which makes things difficult to really gauge, but that's really all we have. I mean, we can look at history, but this is the snapshot that we have right now, and we have to go based on what we think or where we think the movements will be on these token values. So this is the main crux of what I'm trying to get at. Now, if I believe that DEC can go well below its peg, and if we look here in the history of DEC, I mean, it has gone as down as low as like 0.0006, right, or 5. So it could go 40 to 50% below its peg, meaning that if we do drive that value down the entire time, well, hey, then my $100 becomes $60 or $50. And all of a sudden, the extra SPS that I got from the airdrop is no longer worth it. So do you get what I'm saying here? What you're going to have to do when you're looking at this and trying to calculate your risk is, how low do I think DEC will go? And at this point in time, am I still slated to make that much more before the end of the airdrop? Now, for me, I'm not even sitting on that much DEC, but what I am looking at, if I do get out of DEC and maybe get into a stable coin, or maybe even just transfer it into SPS at that point, because keep in mind, you can get some staking rewards for SPS2 and then completely remove your risk on capital loss. Sure, SPS can still go down, but at least you already own the SPS. And at this point in time, let's see, what would it be? 100 SPS or $100 divided by 0.077. I mean, you could get 1,300 SPS right now. If I wanted to take that $100, I can get 1,300 SPS right now, reduce the risk of losing capital on the DEC, and start earning, what is that, 48, 50% APR on SPS. So that's the other factor that we're not going to get too far into. But at that point in time, I may choose to convert all of my DEC to SPS. So, like I said, with the 15% dip that we already saw before the end of the airdrop, that's kind of the baseline that I'm keeping. I think that we will go at least down to that level again, if not lower, which makes me at this point in time start to get nervous, because if we can go, let's say 20%, 25% below the intended peg, well, then all of a sudden my 100,000 DEC, 100,000 airdrop points is going to lose more value, or it's getting to kind of that sweet spot where maybe at this point in time, it's smart for me to get out and get into something that I would rather be in, whether that's cards, whether that's dollars, whether that's SPS, whether it's land, who knows, whatever the case is, whatever you want to get into. This is just about how you should be viewing your exit strategy for DEC, or at least how I'm viewing it and sharing that strategy with you. So, I can't give you, I have no idea what's going to happen. And anybody that tells you or gives you like specific price predictions is lying to you. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. The market is going to market. But what I'm sharing and what I agree with is the general sentiment that DEC will fall below its peg as soon as the airdrop finishes, maybe even before. And so therefore, in order to reduce my risk of capital loss, right, of what I'm holding currently in DEC, I'm watching this and trying to make that kind of exit call, or like, here's the moment, right? Like maybe if I believe, like if I anchor myself to 20% below the peg, that we can go down to 0.0008, then at this point in time, once this value becomes $20, that's when I sell off, because at that point, at least I'm still breaking even and I can go in and buy in whatever other assets that I want, while my airdrop points, while my DEC is still valuable up to that level. Does that make sense? Now, if DEC starts to fall below the peg, even before the end of the airdrop, well, that could shake things up too. But this is how I'm looking at it. I just wanted to share it with you guys because I know many people were looking to have their exit strategy for DEC be around like the 60-day mark. Well, we're past the 60-day mark. We're a month and a half away from the end of the airdrop, but with DEC kind of being somewhat stable at its intended peg for the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of nice to feel like the risk isn't there as much, right? You're not going to lose too much. And the truth is that, sure, unless DEC loses like 50% of its value, which is possible, but maybe not as probable as many other scenarios, people are still looking at this and saying that, hey, I can get a ton of value out of it just with the airdrop still. So that's a decision you have to make. You have to figure out where your numbers are and then use these calculations to see where is my get off point, where is my jump off the train point, because I'm ready, I'm happy with the bag that I have, and I want to make sure that I preserve the capital that I have in the game and in the economy. So that's all I have for you in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will catch you all in the next one, and I will see you around the game. Take care.